I'm Steve Dodge. I'm the tournament director of the MVP Open at Maple Hill. Since 2018, MVP came on board and we've been able to make this event and this course significantly better. People come here after 2 4-day events and they come here and they recharge. This ground is magical. I've been coming here every summer for my whole life. I knew this was where I wanted to live because when you walk these woods and these hills, you're just absorbing positive nature. In my opinion, the reason we're growing is people have free time right now. They're starting to hear about disc golf, and disc golf is fun. We invest tens of thousands of dollars in this course every year, and there's no chance we could do that if people didn't come pay to play. In my opinion, Maple Hill at the MVP Open already has the best staff in the world. And this year we're stepping it up, just like the whole course, to become even better than we ever have been before. And the goal would be to maintain that going forward. I personally would love to see a playoff. 2 people coming up this final hole and everything's on the line. And maybe someone's winning by 1. I'm getting goosebumps right now, just thinking about that's what I want to see short term. If you're feeling it, go for it. Most of the holes out here are risk reward. If you're feeling it, take it. Take all of those shots. I would say watch the event and decide if you want to be here. If you're on the fence, just watch. I don't need to convince you. You're just going to watch and you're going to come.
Hello and welcome everybody to round 1 front 9 coverage of the 2020 MVP Open at Maple Hill, presented by MVP Disc Sports. Brian Earhart here, joined here by Tristan Tanner, and we are back at one of our favorite properties in disc golf. We just said that at Vermont, but this stretch is just unbelievable.
Yeah, this stretch in New England is just an incredible place for us to be playing disc golf. All these courses are like, wow, we actually get to play disc golf on these properties.
Tons of varied hole design. We have long distance bomber par 4s. We have tight wooded par 3s. We have water. We have wind. Maple Hill potentially is the best private property in disc golf, at least in the States. And we get to watch a fantastic card attack it today. We have James Conrad, Calvin Heimburg, Chris Dickerson, and former world putting champion Rick Steehler of MVP. There was pretty pristine weather out there on that day.
Yeah, it was a little chilly earlier because we had rain all overnight, and then as it started to warm up through the day, conditions got really perfect for scoring. And hole number 1 is just an open rip right out of the car. You have to clear this water, which I'm not sure quite how far it is, probably around 400 to 450. And then you're trying to get somewhere near this road, which leaves you a tricky approach into this peninsula green.
And as you see, the basket, contrary to years past, has been pushed back towards this wall of OB that we have. Used to be the players used to play a straight shot through that gap, and now they have to get a little bit more aggressive. James probably going with a Wraith here. I think that's the blue one that he usually throws.
And this is a pretty common miss off this first tee shot. The wind is pretty hard to read up here, and a lot of players on this day were flipping it and having it hold right.
Oh, wow, and as we see Calvin doing the same thing, that might flex out.
Yeah, it's really interesting. As soon as the disc starts to turn, it just pushes so far that direction.
And for those of you who are watching Maple Hill for the first time, this doubles as a Christmas tree farm. So you'll see in a lot of these holes that they utilize the Christmas trees to carve these fairways. As Chris Dickerson bombs his drive and gets the beautiful roll forward.
Wow, that's huge.
That's going to be a little chip forehand to the green. And Rick Steehler is fading out left a little bit. Rick not playing as much as he has this year. In years past, he's kind of taken a break from touring full-time, but it's great to see him out here.
And Rick going with the overhand, Just playing a placement shot there, it looks like. Oh, and that's great, right to the center of the gap. He'll have probably a jump putter, a little putter turnover from there.
And to start the tournament, if you're not in position to attack this guarded green, a lot of players are opting to just chip up first round, not start with a big number.
Calvin going a little aggressive, and yeah, see.
Contrary to what I had said, Calvin had gone for the green. Was so close to getting up there. Chris, on the other hand, has no choice but to go for it. And he kind of kicks those trees. He's about 40 feet from the basket.
Old greenie there from James.
Calvin just outside circle 2 on that. He'll have to tap in a bogey there. Three pars and a bogey there for our card. Dickerson, kind of an uncharacteristic misfire on that upshot. I believe that was an A2 that he was trying to flick in there. But start the tournament with a par in this tough hole. Not too shabby.
Yep.
And Calvin going for the birdie. Unfortunately takes that 5, moving into hole number 2. Hole number 2, 350 feet, plays a little bit more like 380, 390. It's slightly uphill off the tee. We have this tight green that kind of funnels at this mouth. A lot of different plays here.
Yeah, a lot of players opt for the slight turnover that James is throwing, probably with a fairway driver or some with distance drivers. And then a lot of players just choose roller, which is kind of interesting because there is a little bit of a ditch on this hole.
Yeah, with rocks in it too. And as we see Chris taking a more conventional line with the air shot, I had talked to Steve Brinster during my round with him yesterday about the roller. He said it used to be a shot that no one took because everyone thought it was going to be a fluke. Uh-oh, little misfire there from Rick.
A little bit of slit maybe on that tee pad.
But he was mentioning that, yeah, the roller these days for some reason is more successful than in years past, but the ditch really hasn't changed too much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's got to sit down. And it did.
And that's a shot Calvin's so good at. Just hammer one of those eagles pretty flat. Let it have that slight turnover and just push straight.
I'm wondering if that was an eagle that he threw there.
I think it is.
Yeah, just a laser beam. And again, if you're seeing this course for the first time, that rock wall on the right side is all out of bounds too.
Nice approach there from Rick.
Just low there from Dickerson from about 34 feet.
Oh.
And just left for James. With how hard a lot of these tee shots are, you're faced with a lot of circle 2 looks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important to at least cash a few of these to shoot a hot round out here. Pretty stress-free tap-in birdie there from Calvin, making up for the bogey on hole 1. Dickerson and James tap out their pars as well.
Now moving on to hole number 3, it kind of starts this wooded stretch we have here. This hole is very tricky. First of all, you have to clear the rock wall to become inbounds, and you're trying to play some sort of flex, moving slightly right to left, but then having a lot of fade to get up near this basket.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of players throw these like nose-up tight flexes. If you get too anty on the drive, you have no chance of kind of fighting back, as Calvin was trying to do something similar. Just got caught up in this section in the middle.
Yeah, and with how the gap shapes up, you can't really throw a hyzer flip to turn. It has to be flat or on ante out of your hand to not confront the trees straight on the fairway.
And there's that little nose up from Dickerson.
Oh, and that's got great height.
Oh, yeah. And he's deep.
Wow.
And there's another circle's edge putt there from Dickerson. That's a beautiful drive. This is an octane from Rick. Just a bit nose down for that flex back, and he...
Wow. A lot of ground play.
Still deep at the basket, circle 2.
Pitch up there from Calvin. This green is kind of interesting. It's kind of domed at the center, and it's all hard packed ground, so your putters always end up a little farther away from the basket than you want them to.
Oh, another miss from Dickerson. A little bit of a slow start in the putting green. Oh, no.
Wow.
Taking his time. It's rough watching a couple of putts go off the top. Nice putt there from Rick to save par. That is an unfortunate bogey from James. Moving into, I would call it an iconic hole in disc golf. One of the holes that has barely changed. Hole number 4, par 3, 250 feet. This hole's been played by the best players in the world for a decade. Again, pretty much unchanged, except for the walls in the background, which I do know have made the hole a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's very tricky. A lot of players have been playing this thumber this year. Throwing it straight up and down and trying to just have it slow pan right onto its back and slide down to the basket.
And I don't think it's that bad of a play. I think there's one tree to miss, and unfortunately Calvin and Dickerson have both hit it.
Yeah, it's just such a tight gap off the tee. And for such a touchy shot, there's not a whole lot of holes where we have to hit such a tight gap and
throw that downhill.
Yeah, exactly.
As Rick hits an early tree as well.
It almost feels like a scramble shot off the tee.
And this is one that I've seen Conrad jump putt off the tee before. Just no matter how good the players get, holes like this will always provide some sort of challenge.
Yep.
Making you throw a bunch of bomb drives and then you have to down tempo downhill with a tight gap like this. I think he was seeing a little red. I think he was trying to go for that one.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, Rick is the defending putting world champion. So he will be playing very aggressive on the greens today.
Oh, no, and James rolls to another...
Wow, sit down.
Early circle 2 putt.
Jeez.
Hoping to get some momentum going.
At least he does appear to have a gap here.
just another miss from James. We did see the wind blowing a tiny bit off the lake.
Good putt there for Calvin.
Solid par save there from Dickerson. Yeah, you mentioned the thumber play on this hole, and I actually heard Macbeth saying that this is going to be his first thumber in a tournament off the tee.
Wow.
Yeah, he had either changed his game plan or was practicing a new game plan, and it's interesting to see how the shots evolve over time. And we move into hole number 5, 285-foot par 3 over water the entire way if you want the birdie. We have this wall that's out of bounds, and we now have the Pro Tour elevated basket. This is kind of an ace run.
Yeah, it definitely is. You're almost forced to ace run it and then have that edge of circle putt coming back.
Calvin puts his to about 25. It's a little high and tight from Dickerson, but I think it's going to spike just nicely. Oh, off the top.
Wow.
Stay close. Thank
I guess that is the ace run.
Yep. And Rick choosing the turnover with a putter.
Yep, this is a spin. And spins it right next to the basket.
Yeah, and you see he didn't really try to control the turn necessarily. He just tried to kind of dump it over there into the green.
Exactly. Kind of spike any angle. Because you do have that wall stopping you if you do cut roll.
Yep. James a little bit early.
There it is.
Wow. Huge putt there.
There's a big putt there from James for sure. That's a nice birdie to get going. Contested putt, circle 2, elevated basket.
Oh, wow, that's great.
That's got to feel good. That's a good momentum putt there after missing a few from the circle's edge.
And that putt can be really scary. With
Yeah.
the water right there, even though it feels like a gimme, it just, man, it gets in your head real quick, especially with the elevated basket.
Luckily, Calvin is 8 feet tall, and that was a normal basket for him. And Rick tapping in a nice turnover birdie.
And a star frame from our card there.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, pretty good.
If they do it on the next hole, I'll be very impressed.
Yes, definitely. Hole number 6 is a very tricky, slightly downhill par 3 coming at 375 feet. Man, you're just trying to hit this initial gap and get somewhere straight almost. The basket is up to the right, but most players really aren't trying to come up into this gap. We're more trying to play into this bunker of trees here and hope you have a putt.
Yes, there's a lot of schools of thought on this hole. Some players will throw some sort of slightly flippy driver and try to hyzer it through the left gap and give themselves a circle 2 look. Because we do have OB all down the right side on this rock wall, and then there is that lake that came into contention on hole 5, also playing as OB on hole 6. So Calvin puts himself to a decent spot, might not have an amazing look for birdie. But safety off the tee is very important. And there's a really committed line from Rick.
And that's that bunker of trees we were talking about. Got a little unfortunate roll behind him, but he might have a gap.
James's rock going off that tree. He's got to throw something pretty magical here to get up and down. He'll be a little bit short of the basket.
And with this Rockwell being OB, it makes these shots that hit early very tricky. Because you do kind of want to saw it off almost, or chop it over to the right side.
Dickerson puts his to about circle's edge, maybe about 40.
Oh.
Just off the front. And Rick's drive just put him in a rough spot, like you had mentioned about this bunker.
Yeah, that's just a layup. Wow.
Nice birdie there from Calvin. Back-to-back birds. Birdieing hole 6 is no joke.
Yeah, and that was actually only one of 5 birdies on the day. This hole playing very hard.
Such a clean, flat putt there. One of the best push putters on tour, I would hands down.
Yeah, it really had no chance of going anywhere besides right in the chains.
Yeah. James taps out yet another bogey, moves to 2 over par.
Chris also taking bogey, bringing him back to even. And Rick with just a tap in par, playing a pretty clean round.
Hole number 7, 370-foot par 3, one of the tougher birdies to get on the course. Uphill tunnel the entire way, slightly snakes to the left, just ever so subtly. And if you go too straight, we have that bunker of trees. You're trying to throw some sort of subtle hyzer flip if you really are trying to get a clean putt at it. And this is such a specific line.
Yeah, and this is one that's kind of interesting because you can see the basket dead straight the whole way, so it almost tricks you into trying to have it go straight the whole way. But really, if you just play something that goes straight for maybe 3/4 of the flight and then finishes slightly left, there's actually a pretty big landing zone out to the left side of the green that'll leave you with a putt. Oh, and a little sneaky.
After the first 2 drives, kick early trees, Dickerson sneaks through the left side and gets himself some sort of look, potentially from circle 2. And James just overturns another drive. I'm pretty sure he just said pathetic. I think he's a little frustrated in his shot shaping, rightfully so. This is a course that James has won on before.
Oh, wow. A little bit deep there from Rick after giving the basket a run. And this right side can leave some very tricky shots. See Calvin kick something. He'll be in that circle 2 range.
And Conrad thumber. I guess check that box on your James Conrad bingo sheet.
Yep. Little jump thumber. Man, he was way down there on the right side.
And he's going to just kick down. He'll still have to get up and down. And he puts himself to a circle's edge yet again. Another tester. That was a germ step.
Yep.
Did you see that?
Yes, I did see
Something
that.
that Jeremy Calling used to do. Put his front foot in front of his lie, lift it, and then putt. There's the putting world champ.
Great putt.
James with another bogey. If you can go even or under par on 6 and 7, you are taking strokes on the field. Absolutely.
Yeah, the 2 holes combined average about a stroke over par.
Yeah, so Calvin taps out his bogey, going even for those 2 holes. But the worst is over, and we're moving into hole number 8, one of the most fun holes in disc golf. It is unfortunate that the fans were not allowed this year, but we do have some cardboard cutouts that were put out behind the OB wall. So running the ace is still something that absolutely should happen. Rick giving it a good bid. It just drifts a little bit too far right, and he is safe.
Yep. A little bit early, it seemed, from Chris. Needs to go.
Should be safe.
Yep.
Calvin almost getting the flip that he wanted,
And
but
this,
he's still pin high.
this basket has always traditionally been a shorter basket. And this year they actually elevated it back up to the average height for our baskets
Exactly, yep. It kind of sunk into the ground a little bit.
Yep.
As James puts his to about 25 feet. Here's a death putt from Rick. Yes.
Great
Sweet
putt.
putt. And that's one that'll kind of get you pumped up for the rest of the holes in the round. Definitely takes full commitment to snap that disc into the basket there. And that's actually a decent spot to be putting from for Chris.
Yep.
There's a birdie from James. A couple of nice birdies on this hole. Like we were mentioning, this is one of the ace run holes on tour. And most players that come up to this hole, no matter what the stakes are, they're going to tell you they're running the ace here.
Yes, for sure.
Such a fun shot. And we will rewind to a couple holes in the day. Here's Steve Brinster earlier today with a rock. Slightly flippy, destabilizing the whole way. And here's Macbeth. This is a Luna, I believe. Look at this flight.
Heiser, got it.
Just perfect.
Dead
Oh
center
my
the whole
gosh.
way.
Jordan Castro.
Get it.
Oh.
Almost identical line from Macbeth.
Yep.
Wow. Beautiful.
Park job.
And that was a shameless ace run with a driver flick.
See Terry Roethlisberger with a machete.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Just so many different ways to play this hole.
Oh, come on.
What a shot.
Oh.
Yeah, just that high, panning, slow fade shot. Sweet hole to watch. Hole number 9, par 4, 420 feet. This is one of the more uniquely shaped par 4s that we see on tour.
Yeah, it goes up and over this hill and then down to the right. A lot of players play some sort of turnover putter that really flips pretty late, or some sort of overhand comes into play as well. Just trying to get somewhere almost on the hillside, and if you're at the bottom, it's a huge bonus. And then we're going to this island-ish green that has the elevated basket right by the water.
Rick going big turnover. If that catches air, it should flex out. And fortunately goes a little bit short right. Still might have a look for the birdie.
Looks to be a little early as well, but fought through and is actually at the bottom of the hill.
It's a great lie. That looks a... Oh, my gosh, I niced him.
Eesh.
I'm so sorry, Chris. It's a lot more subtle of a turnover than you realize. And all of these players making the common miss, they all know that they slightly missed it.
And then this approach shot is so tricky.
Patent pending down the hill from Dickerson to the island green.
Great speed control there.
Famously, we saw Paul Macbeth last year throw a driver on this and almost ace the basket and go out of bounds and take a birdie. Definitely is eagleable if you throw the right tee shot. As Rick throws just a fantastic up from the knee.
Calvin with that rhino. And man, when you start to fade out left, that is a scary putt.
Anything that misses wide, high, that's going out of bounds.
Wow.
Ooh, okay. Ooh, little elevator down to the first floor from Calvin.
Take a birdie there.
And he's going to be -2 for the front nine. Not too shabby. Dickerson moves to 1 under par. Hot rounds for this course are usually in the 8 to 12 range. So the front nine being under par, not too bad, but definitely they have some room to snag some birdies here. And Rick leading our card. 3 under par for the round.
Yeah.
Nice and clean, good drives, couple great putts.
Yeah, no bogeys out here at Maple is incredible. James with a couple of those bogeys, fighting to 1 over par. That's just fine. And thank you all for tuning into this front nine coverage. Be sure to come and hang out on the back with us.
Yeah, and make sure to subscribe to Gatekeeper Media, and we will keep bringing you this disc golf content. We will catch you back on the back nine.